Okay, so I'm back on the road, back in the car, and I'm going to do an impromptu catch-up and just let you know what is happening with the podcast and what's happening, I suppose, at Birdwood Guitars as well. So before anything else, welcome to the Cigar Box Guitar Builder. All right, a few things have been going on. I've started doing some videos again on the YouTube channel, which is, of course, the Cigar Box Guitar Builder YouTube channel. And I have been doing a little bit of a competition with myself, basically, which was not copying, but taking some elements of Del Puckett's how-to videos and building a cigar box guitar or guitars using some of Del Puckett's build methods. Now, why have I done this? Well, obviously I've been building cigar box guitars for a very long time, and I love the cigar box guitars that I build. If I didn't love doing it, I wouldn't keep doing it. But you get a little tired of building the same thing over and over and over, and I really just wanted to kind of change things up a little bit and I don't know, mess around with a couple of ideas that I'd seen Del do, and also pulling a couple of ideas from the old Japanese guitars the six-string guitars that I love as well, the old 1960s Japanese ones, which in many cases were kind of put together with bits and pieces as well. I kind of look at those as the cigar box guitars of the six-string electric world. So what are some of the elements of Del Puckett's builds that I wanted to play around with? Well, the first one, of course, was the zero nut. I had never made a cigar box guitar or even a six-string electric guitar with a zero fret before. So I thought, okay, well, I'll give that a go. That's the very first thing that I wanted to do. The other thing was creating a back angle on the guitar neck. And the way to do that, or the way Del does it, was to, if you think about the tenon that runs through the body of the guitar, the idea would be that where the fretboard is attached to the neck, where it touches the body of the box, where, you know, on the at the end of the fretboard, you basically do a cut down the length of the neck tenon towards the rear of the guitar and cut out more at the back and less at the front. So you've kind of got this diagonal triangular cutout when it all comes off. So what'll happen is that the back of the neck at the rear of the box pitches up, and it forces, so it'll sit flat on the neck, which of course forces the neck to dive downwards. Now, what that does is it will pitch the strings up, and they'll be higher at the bridge. So it actually it increases your break angle over the bridge, whether you've got a traditional bridge. I think it would work best on a traditional bridge where you can raise it up. I don't necessarily think it'll work very well on one of those Fender Stratocaster style, the 3 or 4 string bridges, those bolt-on bridges that are intonatable. And they've got the string saddles and stuff. I don't think it'd work very well on that, because I think the strings will come up too high, and you won't get. I don't think you'll get that height on the. You won't get that height at the bridge, and that's, I suppose, why you don't see Gibson Les Pauls, for example, with Fender Stratocaster style bridges. So that was the second thing that I tried. The third thing that I tried was really not being quite so precious. For example, the hole for the pickup, the electric guitar pickup or magnetic pickup. Quite often I would use new pickups which had pickup rings, so that when I cut them out, there would be a ring over the cutout, which invariably can be a little bit plain looking sometimes, especially if you've done it by hand, for example, with a Dremel or with a knife or with a hand saw. For these latest builds that I've done, have actually opted for some vintage pickups and some reclaimed pickups, which don't actually have the pickup rings. So I've allowed myself to be a little more rustic with the cutouts and not be quite so pedantic, and treat it more as a folk instrument, more as an industrial thing, something that's quite there to do a job first and then to look pretty second. So I've allowed myself to do that, which for me is a bit of a bit of a struggle, because I've taken a lot of pride in making sure that everything's pretty much perfect and looking, and I'm trying to get more into that more rustic style of build where it's more or less function over form. It's got to work, and and the way it looks is not necessarily the first priority. It's got to perform well, it's got to sound good, it's got to play really nicely. So that would be the second thing, and then the third thing. And then another thing that I've also done is the way that I have mounted the electric guitar pickup into the body. Normally what I would do, because I would usually use a pickup ring, I would spring load the pickup into the box, and the height adjuster screw would generally go through the box, and I could raise and lower the bridge as I needed or wanted. Now, these particular ones, what I've actually done is I've cut the hole for the pickup, but I've actually mounted the pickup on little blocks that I have glued to either side of the neck tenon, and those pickups have been screwed directly to those pieces of timber. Now, I will certainly not say that that has improved any resonance or any of that garbage, whatever. I don't think any of that makes any difference, really. I've got to be honest with you. But with those four, and a fifth thing, which is probably one of the biggest changes for me. Everything else is almost a little bit like you can kind of get away with it a little bit if you're comparing. But the one thing that really stood out and was quite different was the fact that I haven't done the neck through the back of the box type of setup. What I've actually done is I've used aluminium, and I've cut some aluminium out, and I've created a stop tailpiece at the very rear of the guitar body, or the cigar box guitar body. Now that has, there's something about that. There is something that I think is, it seems to, I don't know if it seems to be a little more resonant, or it has created a slightly different feel for me. And it could be utterly based around, or this statement that I've made could simply be based around a personal feeling I've got. Maybe I've approached it differently, or I'm playing it differently, or it could be that the strings maybe have less tension because there's 1.5 inches less string. I've still used a 25.5-inch scale length, which I'll probably cut back on again to a 24-inch scale length. So it's really been quite interesting using these aluminium stop tail pieces. Oh, and one other thing which I did try on the very latest build that I have done, which was actually a guiding nut. The issue that I had on the first guitar that I built with the 0 fret was that I had to guide the strings onto the 0 fret, and I used some big screws, and I didn't really, as much as it was form over function, function over form, I suppose, I didn't really like the way that necessarily looked. So what I did with the latest one that I did by using the 0 fret, I ended up cutting it so that I had a nut at the end of the fretboard, just behind the 0 fret, and I'd cut it right down to the fretboard, and that was the string. So it's basically a string guiding nut, and I love the way it looked, and it works perfectly. And I'm really, really, really happy with these two latest builds. Very, very happy indeed. I won't change all of the guitars that I'm doing, but the traditional models of guitars, they're the ones where that I've opted to use a timber bridge. I really, really, really like the way these particular builds have actually come together, and I'm really enjoying the way they sound, and I'm actually enjoying the way they feel when I'm playing fingerstyle or when I'm playing and fretting the notes. The action is ridiculously low, really low. So, couple of things that you would definitely, if you're going to go ahead and look at this, my very, very strong suggestion would be go and check out Del Puckett's how to build videos. Okay, obviously you're welcome to look at our website, our YouTube channel as well, but the whole idea of doing this was to step out of my comfort zone, and I thought, well, what the hell, I'll take you guys along for the ride. So I have got a couple of videos up on the Cigar Box Guitar Building YouTube channel, but go and check out Del Puckett's videos on his YouTube channel, and I'm looking forward to I'm hoping to actually be able to get back in contact with Del and interview Del for the podcast. But in the meantime, I'll chat with you about my discoveries of doing this. So a couple of things to keep in mind when using a 0 fret. The action was and is crazy, crazy low. Okay? So something to keep in mind is that you must make sure your frets are absolutely level. If they're not level, if your frets are not level, they are going to buzz like crazy, right? So if you've got a low fret behind a high fret, you are going to really, really, really pay the penalty for bad fretwork with this type of fretting, with this type of nut. It's extremely low. Something I don't like about it, it's so low that playing with a slide for me, I usually, when I play slide, I like to have a guitar set up with the action quite high. And it's rather interesting to play and have to be very, very, very light on with the slide. So that's something to keep in mind. I did raise the bridge on the very first guitar that I did, and when I say raise the bridge, I'm talking really probably just a tad shy of a millimetre. And I did find that helped out a little bit. I certainly don't want to raise it up so much that it's extremely high at the 12th fret. The reason that becomes a problem is, of course, with intonation when you are pressing the string down to the fretboard and playing the guitar in that way, it will go out of tune if if you are playing it like that. So that can be a problem. That's probably realistically the only thing that I have discovered with the guitar is that, just that very, very low action. It's made it quite interesting to get used to that. But it's not a bad thing. It's certainly not a bad thing. It's just something to get used to. That's all. And that's basically it. So why did I decide I wanted to go and do this? Well, the reason I decided I wanted to go and do this was to try something different. And trying something different is one of the things that cigar box guitar builders are utterly fantastic at. You know, whenever you pick up a different box, you're always trying something different. Whenever you pick up a different length of timber, you're trying something different. This, for me, was a really big step, trying something different. I'm not sure who I'm going to have a look at next. I may end up having a look at Chicken Bone John. I love the way Chicken Bone John does his neck, so I might even have a little look at some of the things that he's doing. And I'm very interested to hear if you guys are trying something a little bit different, giving something different a go. So anyway, it's that was it today. That's what's basically been happening for me. I'm looking at getting better equipment for podcasting and than my phone, because that's basically what I record onto is my phone. So I'm trying to set up a bit more of a podcasting situation. If you do want to support the show in any way, you can go and support the show at Patreon. We do have the Cigar Box Guitar Builder account on Patreon, which you are very, very welcome to support there if you wish. If you don't, the best way you can actually support the show is just by telling your guitar building and cigar box guitar building friends about the show and about the back episodes. We've got some wonderful episodes with some wonderful people, and I'm looking forward to interviewing more in the coming year. So thank you. Thank you for being patient with me over the last few years. It has been very sporadic, but I'm really hoping, with the help of my good friend Darren, to bring you more content. So all the best, keep building, and remember, go out there and have some fun. Bye.